It was a chilly November evening when I found the letter. I had just moved into an old, creaky house on the outskirts of town. The previous owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Hawthorne, had mysteriously vanished a year ago, and her disappearance remained unsolved. The house stood empty, its windows dark and lifeless, until I decided to take the plunge and make it my new home. As I unpacked my things in the dimly lit living room, a gust of wind blew through the broken window, sending a shiver down my spine. I noticed an envelope, yellowed with age, flutter to the floor from behind a dusty bookshelf. Curiosity piqued. I picked it up. The envelope was addressed to the future resident, in elegant, looping handwriting. Inside, I found a letter written in the same delicate script. Underscore, if you are reading this, it is already too late. They are coming for you. Do not trust the mirrors, and whatever you do, do not open the basement door. Underscore. My heart pounded as I read and reread the cryptic message. Who were they, and why shouldn't I open the basement door? I glanced nervously at the full-length mirror in the hallway, its surface reflecting my uneasy expression. A sudden creak from upstairs made me jump. I wasn't expecting anyone, and the movers had left hours ago. With the letter clutched in my trembling hand, I crept up the stairs. The second floor was dark, the only light coming from the full moon, casting eerie shadows through the windows. At the end of the hall, a faint glow emanated from under a door I had yet to explore. It was the master bedroom. I cautiously pushed the door open and gasped. The room was freezing, and in the center, surrounded by an array of old, tarnished mirrors, was a single, ornate chest. The chest seemed to pulsate with a life of its own, and I felt an inexplicable urge to open it. My mind flashed back to the letter's warning. Ignoring my better judgment, I approached the chest, drawn in by an unseen force. As I lifted the lid, a thick, acrid smoke billowed out, engulfing me. I stumbled back, coughing and waving my arms to clear the air. When the smoke dissipated, I looked inside. There was nothing but a small, silver key resting on a black velvet cushion. I picked it up, its cold metal, sending a jolt through my fingers. In my mind's eye, I saw a vivid image of the basement door, the one I had been warned not to open. Compelled by a mixture of dread and curiosity, I descended the stairs to the basement. The house groaned as if protesting my every step. I reached the basement door, my breath shallow, heart racing. The key fit perfectly in the lock. As I turned it, a whisper of air escaped from the other side, carrying with it the faintest hint of decay. I hesitated, the letter's words echoing in my mind, but my hand seemed to have a will of its own. The door swung open with a creak, revealing a dark, stone staircase leading down into the unknown. The air was thick with an overwhelming sense of dread. I felt a cold hand touch my shoulder and spun around, but there was no one there. As I descended, each step felt like a plunge into icy water. At the bottom, I found a vast, cavernous room lit by flickering torches. The walls were covered in ancient symbols, and in the center stood a stone altar. On the altar lay a book, bound in cracked leather. I reached out to touch it, and the ground beneath me began to tremble. The torches flickered wildly, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the chamber. I turned to flee, but the staircase had vanished. The room closed in around me, the air growing colder by the second. I backed up against the wall, clutching the book, as shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. The last thing I heard before everything went black was a voice, whispering in my ear, underscore, welcome to your new home, underscore. The next morning, the house stood silent and still, save for a new letter on the floor, addressed to the next resident.